Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here, and I wanted to make a video for new investors and possibly also seasoned investors in the precious metal space who are interested in adding some silver bars to their stack. Bars are one of my favorite forms of physical bullion, and I think they're a great way to add to your stack. And one of the great things about bars is they are actually very stackable. So if you like stacking up silver, you enjoy the feeling of like a pile of treasure, there's something to be said for a hefty silver bar. Also, bars can be purchased typically for relatively low premiums, so it makes them a great way to add low cost silver to your stack. And I just wanted to show you some of my favorite silver bars in my stack and why I think they're great bars, and just to kind of give you an overview of what's available in the market. So starting off, this little 1 ounce bar here, this is a special bar for me actually, because it's my first ounce of silver. And I honestly don't even entirely remember where this silver bar came from. I know I got it when I was a kid. I think it was a gift, probably from my godparents for one of my birthdays. But I've had this thing following me around, threw it in a box, shoebox or something like that. Had it in a box of toys at some point, I think, when I was a kid. But this was the first ounce of silver I got, and it was the only one I had for a long time because I did not really seriously start stacking silver or start stacking silver at all until I was considerably older. So I kind of wish whoever got this ounce of silver for me had explained to me why they were investing in physical, and that would have been back in the 90s, so I'm sure they got this thing really cheap. But anyway, interesting for that reason. My first ounce of silver. And that's just a generic 1 ounce bar. If you're investing a small amount or you like to have small increments of silver, 1 ounce silver bars like this are great. I mean, you don't normally need to keep them in a protector like that. You can just take them out and stack them up. Your normal generic bar is not going to have a huge premium. It's really just a form of bullion. There's not a lot of collectible nature to these small 1 ounce generic bars, so they're nice. Nice alternative to a coin or a round. You can probably get it for a lower premium than either of those. And moving up here, we've got a 5 ounce Silvertown bar. So Silvertown makes a lot of silver products. They make rounds, bars, all sorts of stuff. Their bars, like this one, are pretty much generic products, but they're widely recognized, so they're nice for that reason. This is a 5 troy ounce bar, so feels pretty good in your hand, but not too heavy. Relatively small amount of silver there. So at today's price, that's somewhere around 125 bucks, a little bit higher in terms of just the spot value of a bar like that. This bar is a new product from Mint ID. It's a 10 ounce bar, and it's got this RFID chip on the back, which you can scan with your phone's NFC, which stands for Near Field Communication. You can download an app from Mint ID and scan that chip, and it will let you know that your bar is not a counterfeit, that it's a genuine product. So that's a neat feature. I posted a video of these about a month ago when I picked these up, and I had some people in the comments talking about, the chip being used to track you and that sort of thing. Maybe that's possible if you took this through a scanner. They might be able to pick up the signal from that RFID chip, but it's a very short distance transmission. I mean, NFC, to actually scan this with your phone, you have to put your phone right up next to it, because NFC is a very short wave frequency or short distance frequency for your phone. So I don't think there's a lot of likelihood of this being tracked. Definitely not from any distance. I mean, if you throw this into a box or a safe or even a safe deposit box in the bank, no one's scanning it remotely. So don't worry about that. It's not like they're tracking it like a GPS. I definitely think that the protection this gives you against counterfeits is more valuable than any downside of having the chip in there. And, your silver being tracked by some nefarious entity is probably a much less likely issue than counterfeits, which we know are out there. So I like these Mint ID bars, and those are available from JM Bullion. I think they have those back in stock now. They were sold out for a little while, but that's a cool product. And you're getting the product from JM Bullion, so that it's a legitimate product. You're not really concerned about a counterfeit. But where that chip is going to help you is when you go to sell the bar, whoever it is that's buying it can just feel more confident that the product is real because they can check it with the Mint ID app. So I like that feature. I think those are a nice bar, and I hope that we see more technology like that implemented in the future. This BPM bar, this is a 1 kilo bar. So 1 kilo, I think, is equal to 32.15 troy ounces. I would check that. I wouldn't go on that number for anything, but I think it's close to that. But see, if you prefer to have silver in metric denomination, you can pick up these generic kilo bars. This is BPM. I think they're a metal recycler. But yeah, pretty much just a generic silver kilo bar. Similar to these 5 ounces and all these generic bars, these typically have very low premiums attached to them. So if you see them and the premium is high, don't buy them, relative to the other silver products. But generally something like a kilo, especially a little bit heavier bar, you're going to be able to get a better price on it relative to the spot price than you would something like, say, a 1 ounce bar. All right, moving over here. These are some of the Scottsdale silver bars. These are some of my favorites. I really like these. Scottsdale silver, the Scottsdale Mint, they have sales on their eBay store periodically, although they haven't since all the craziness started in March in the markets. They haven't really been having any sales. They used to have sales where you could get these bars close to spot sometimes. But if you look at the sold auctions on eBay, these also typically sell on a regular basis for quite a high premium relative to silver. So if you get the opportunity with the sales that Scottsdale has from time to time, these are great to snap up. These are their stacker bars. So this is a machined bar. It's got an individual serial number, and you can stack them very nicely. They're like little blocks because they have this indentation and then this raised part. So those click together, and they're fun to stack up. Make a nice, neat little stack. And then this is one of they call this their long pour bar. So it's a poured bar, very cool, poured into like a loaf shape, and then stamped with the Scottsdale lion and the amount of silver in there. And these are just a nice hefty bar, a lot of weight in your hand. Those sell very well with a good premium on eBay. You can see the sold listings for those. Those will go much higher than the spot price of silver. So if you can snap those up for a low premium, if you ever see them available, they're a good silver bar to have. And this is another poured bar they have. So just like that other bar, this is poured into like a loaf, has a little bit of a vintage, like irregular look to it. Very nice bar. They call this their 10-ounce chunky poured bar. So if you're looking for that, if you look for Scottsdale chunky bar or something like that, this is what's going to pop up, these 10-ounce bars. And then finally here, we've got an Engelhard 100 troy ounce bar. So this is probably how you're going to be able to find the lowest premium silver, is something like 100 ounce or more bar, just a real heavy bar. This is if you're going to be putting a decent amount of money into the metal and you don't really want to pay a high premium. You don't want to worry about storing all these little bars. Just grab yourself a 100 ounce bar or a couple of those. Not something you're probably going to flip. Might be a little less liquid than these smaller ones when you go to sell. But someone's going to be buying these, and you can always sell them to a refiner if you can't find a dealership to sell them to retail investors. But one thing you have to watch out for, Engelhard is a company, they're no longer around. They made silver bars and silver bullion products back in the 80s. They were very popular back then in the early 80s in the big metals bull market. There are some counterfeits out there, so if you're going to buy these in the secondary market, make sure you're getting them from a reputable dealer who does an assay on them. Maybe try to learn a little bit about how to assay them yourself. You can basically measure this, try to figure out the density and weigh it, and that's one way you can confirm that your bar is not a counterfeit. I know some of these 100-ounce Engelhard bars, there are some out there that are drilled and then filled with another metal. So you got to be careful with these. But Engelhards are cool. They're kind of like a part of history, so they're definitely a nice bar. And there are guides you can look up for how to avoid the counterfeits. But with anything like this size, you got to be kind of careful about counterfeits because it's easy to put an outer layer on something this large and then fill it with a metal that's similar in weight and density to silver. So just something to watch out for with the big bars. But if you're either getting them new from the mint or if you're getting them from a reputable dealer that's going to assay them, you don't have to worry too much about that. Just something to be aware of. And then actually, that wasn't the last bar I had to show you. Last one is this MSC 10-ounce poured bar. And this is a vintage bar of some sort. Honestly, I don't even remember where I picked this up. It might have been at a coin shop. It might have been on eBay or something. The reason I wanted to show this bar was it's not my area of expertise, but it's something to make you aware of. There is sort of a collector's market for these poured vintage 10-ounce bars. And you can kind of research that by, there's pages dedicated to it on the web. If you get on Google and you search for collectible vintage 10-ounce poured bars, or it doesn't necessarily have to be 10 ounce, just poured vintage collectible silver bars. There's a market for these where these will sell for a very high premium to the spot price. They might sell for double depending on the bar you get. If you go on eBay and you look for vintage collectible poured bars, something along those lines in the search terms, and you filter by listings that have sold, you'll note that there are certain types of bars that sell for maybe double the spot price of the metal. They fetch quite a high premium. So if you're stacking silver and you're out there buying bars, it's a good idea to at least familiarize yourself with that. And, in a dealer's case, if you see a bunch of vintage looking poured bars with some random mint marks on them, like MSC or something along those lines, it might behoove you to spend a few minutes Googling those mint marks and trying to track down the value of those poured bars. And maybe you can get them close to spot from the right dealer. On the Silverbugs Reddit subreddit, people are frequently posting poured silver bars that are collectible that they'll get for steal because they go to a pawn shop or a coin shop or something like that, and they see them for sale, and the dealer's just selling them like they would sell any other silver bar. So there's opportunities out there to get some valuable collectible silver, even in the silver bars. It's not relegated entirely to numismatics. So I just wanted to make anybody watching this video aware of that, and maybe one day you'll find a really good deal on some of these poured silver bars. This is the only one I have. I don't have any other vintage bars. I don't remember where I got this. This might have been part of a lot I bought at some point. Don't really remember. But I know that it clued me into the fact that there are bars out there with a premium. So anyway, that's it for my thoughts on silver bars. I'd love to know what you guys think about these specific bars, what kind of bars you're stacking, and I hope that anybody who was looking for some information on silver bars and is thinking of adding some to their stack this will be helpful for them. Remember, none of this, of course, is investment advice. It's just my thoughts on stacking silver bars. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Smart Silver Stacker out, and I'll catch you next time.